Hi Chidima, how are you? I'm very sad. I say I'm sad. I'm sad and annoyed because I've spent all week this week doing my um workbook for nucleic acid nucleotide, and I was so ready for it to be finished. It was going to go up on my website, and I had got all the diagrams exactly how I wanted them, and when I saved it to PDF, it distorted the pictures, and now I have to go back to the drawing board and look at what's happened and how I can amend it. But I'm so sad. Because I've spent such a long time and they look so good that it's just really frustrating that it's now gone. And yeah, it's not displaying the way I wanted it to display. But these things happen. It literally just did it though. That's why I was a bit late to join. So I'm like, ah. Um, but never mind. Never mind. How are you feeling? Are you feeling better? No, I don't think the grade boundaries will be lower. I think they'll probably be about the same. I did actually see paper three today, so that was the first time I saw paper three, and I actually don't think it's a horrible paper. I thought it was quite a nice paper if you knew your content, but if you didn't know your content, it would have felt horrendous. Right, one second. What do I want to do? I want to share this one. They were very. I wouldn't have said they were harder. Why are we still revising? I don't know, but thank you for joining my live. Um, it's one of those things that I'm trying to help the current year 12s as they go into year 13. Um, but yeah, if you want to come back and visit and say hello, then please do. But what I thought I could do today is start looking at the nucleic acid and nucleotides because I've been working on that booklet. So I was aiming to get that all sorted, but unfortunately, it has not worked. Well, it has worked for me. That's the frustrating part. It has actually worked, but for some reason, when I try and actually get it into what's needed, it just doesn't, it hasn't done what I need. So yeah, we're going to look at nucleic acid and nucleotides. Do I think they were easier than 2024 but the same difficulty? I'd say about the same difficulty, to be honest. If I was looking at the papers, I would say it's about the same. I don't think it's more complicated, but I don't think it's less complicated either. There are definitely questions where there were marks to gain just from you memorizing the content, and there are questions where you are expected to really apply your knowledge. And if you didn't have the foundations, then you would have found that quite challenging. So I think that's one of the things I would say that it's more, and it was very evident that they were moving towards that more about you being able to use your foundation knowledge and then apply it to the questions in hand. So I definitely feel that it's not any more difficult than 2024, but I would say that it was about you applying your knowledge. A lot of the time, they gave you the answers that you would have memorized. And so, therefore, everything that you needed was in the question. And that makes it difficult because you take the time to memorize this content thinking they're going to assess you on that. And then they don't. What they assess you on is how you, for example, put it into logical order or how you are able to apply your knowledge to a micrograph, things like that. And that's hard because for a lot of students, they do cram at the end and do that memorization. I know I did. That's what I was banging on when it came to my exams, and unfortunately, it didn't work out the right way. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things that I would say will get easier the more you do it if you are going to start the year as you mean to go on. I think that's one of the hardest things that a lot of students who start A-level biology don't realize. You have to start it as you mean to go on, and there's a lot of content. So therefore you've got to do a lot of working throughout the year, not just last minute. It's not like GCSEs. It's not like you can just do a bit of memorization at the end of the period and hopefully it will all come to fruition. That doesn't work with A-level, especially not A-level biology, and especially not OCRA, because that is a rough one. I think that's an interesting one. I feel like, because obviously I haven't seen the mark scheme or anything, but I feel like if you got your pictures the wrong way round, hi, Amna. Although you got it the wrong way round. If you were actually able to give all the rest of the reasoning correct in your answers, my assumption would be that you won't get a level 3. There's definitely no way you'll get a level 3. But I'd say you could potentially get a level 2, but that's a guess. I don't really know where they're going to go with that question. I think they'll probably be the same for the grade boundaries. That's what I've just been saying. I do think they're going to be the same. I actually really liked paper 3. I sat and did it this morning, so it'll be interesting for me to mark it when the mark scheme comes out. So I sat and did it. There was a couple I didn't know the answer to be honest. There was 2 1 markers, and I thought, where are you going with that one? But actually, it has made me think about how I need to improve some of my videos and some content that I need to add in that they assessed that I wouldn't have said was something they would have assessed. But that, as I say, that's like 2 marks worth out of the whole paper. But I actually did really like the paper, and I thought it was a nice way of assessing the content that they hadn't assessed in paper 1 and paper 2. I did like it, um, which was really interesting. But it's hard. It's hard because you guys are just sitting now waiting. So you've got another month and a half to go, waiting to see how you go on. It's easy to distract yourself if you have something to move on. So I would say try and find a hobby. Try and do something that you've never done before whilst you are waiting. Because actually that will just help you speed up the time. Did I do the paper 1? Yeah, I've done all 3 papers. Paper 2, I had to do a bit faster because I got it literally the day that I was doing my live before paper 3 was the next day. So I had like a space in between where I had to rush through whilst also dealing with my kids at the same time when they were home. But I've done all 3 papers. Yes, I do tutoring. So I do private tutoring 1-to-1. I also do group tuition sessions, and I do these free live sessions every Wednesday, so that for helping students who maybe can't afford the private tuition. And also all my videos on YouTube are free for you to use, and it's got the whole course on there. Yes, I do have spaces at the moment. My daytime spaces that I offer. So when I do the private tuition, it's only during the day when my girls are at school. So up until the summer holidays, I have spaces available. So yes, if you send me an email, she'll be able to click the link in my bio, and we can see if we can work some sort of arrangement there. I want to say thank you for everything across exam season. Oh, thank you. That's really lovely. I'm glad I was able to help. It's one of those things that it's hard doing A-level biology. Even as a teacher, I found it quite difficult to know all the content that I needed to teach. And I am a stickler for having detail and I love learning stuff. So I always go and learn something new. And I always have to refresh it as well. Just because I've been teaching it for over 20 years doesn't mean that all of it's ingrained in my brain. I basically made my videos as well to help me because at the end of the summer, before going back to school, it's always a case of teachers get this imposter syndrome that we feel like we don't know what it is we're teaching or how we teach it. And when we teach a vast array of year groups, it therefore makes it more challenging. So because I've now focused down on just A level and IB, so year 12 and 13, it means I am fully engaged. And because I've gone for OCR, I know, right? I honestly was laughing about the adenosine today. One of my friends, we were waiting at pickup and we were having a chat, and before the girls came out and they said, "Oh, I'm so tired right now." And I was like, "Oh, you've obviously got lots of adenosine there. Your brain's been working so much." And it sounds silly because I've known about this for a long time. Like I know about ATP, I know about ADP, I know about cyclic AMP, but I never even considered just adenosine obviously breaking down to the adenosine and the adenosine being this like molecule that's just going to build up and build up. And I've done videos before where I've talked about the debris, the waste that your cleaners, I like to call them, need to come in at the end of the day when you're sleeping to tidy things away. And so I never really put all of that together. And that's the thing about biology. When you get those moments, it's kind of like a oh, and oh, I don't have it here. Actually, hold on. I will be back. I'm going to go and get my booklet because I'm going to show you the notes and the little rabbit hole I went down. Give me 1 second. Okay, so this is my little rabbit hole that I went down when it came to I've been doing lots and lots of different things and writing little notes myself. So here we go. Started with the ATP, ADP, AMP, adenosine. So then I was talking about the G protein coupled receptors. Then I was like, ooh, let's find out a bit more about this. So then I went on and I found out about A1 receptors and the fact that it inhibits adenylyl cyclase, slows your heart rate down, promotes your sleep, reduces arousal, inhibits neurotransmitters. And then I went into even further, and it's the A2A receptor, the A2B receptor, the fact that you've got different receptors in different places in your body, and therefore the adenosine that's being made has different effects, and also caffeine. And then I looked at the fact of which chromosomes it was on. So A1 is in chromosome 1, A2A is chromosome 22, A2B is 17, A3 is in chromosome 1 as well. And so each of these receptors are different receptors which are located in different places. So they have different roles to play in the body. So like A1's in the brain and the heart. A2A is in your brain and your immune system. A2B is your gut, your lungs, your immune system, and A3 is your immune system as well. And actually, you can be given, and this is interesting because someone just said that they're pharmacists and they got accepted onto the PGCE for chemistry. That's amazing today. Well done. Congratulations. You may know something about this. So the other thing I was looking at was anti-inflammatory drugs and how they can target the A2A, A3 receptors. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting and so interesting. So I then go on this whole like rabbit's whole dive into it. And I'm like, oh, what am I doing? I need to go back and do what I was doing before. And I get so distracted whenever I find something of interest, which is why it takes me so long sometimes to do some things that I need to do. So yeah. And then what else was I doing? Just writing little notes to myself. And that's it. I've actually almost finished my book. I'm at the point where I've got like 4 pages left, and then I've got my new notebook to start with. And it's funny because it started off right at the beginning. What was I going to do with year 12s? How was I going to offer my group tuition sessions? And then just went from there. It's been a good book, this. Here we go. What are you saying? So yes, B2 agonists target lungs. That's why we have suboptimal. We're talking about cardio-specific receptors. Yeah, so I was talking about receptors, which were adenosine receptors, because it was a kind of thing I was learning about. And then I was looking at caffeine and caffeine's effect on these receptors. And it's really fascinating. The more you learn about it, the more you can understand what's going on, the more interest you have to learn more. I love learning and I want to keep learning. And I guess that's why I've gone into this whole Adobe Illustrator, learning how to make my own diagrams, which is why I'm really disappointed that it didn't work the way I wanted it to. Hold on, let's see how it looks on here. So hold on. I move across. Let me see. I'll show you which one I was. Yeah, see, look on the screen, it looks amazing. You can actually see all my nitrogenous bases and how they are complementing each other. So I made sure that every diagram looks like this, that when you go on to, obviously you've got your transcription, you've got my translation was what I've been working on today. So this looks amazing. I'm so proud that I managed to do this. This is my little one that's showing you the mRNA and the tRNA and the anticodon and the codon. And I was super excited. And then I literally, oh, why does that not come up? Oh, that's weird. See, this is where, because I'm in the process of doing it right now. What's that one? That's this one. Why has that done that? Shouldn't have any animations on it. Oh, it does. How weird. There you go. And so it's got these pictures, all the things I made this today, and like all these different things that I've been doing. And then when I went to print it out and make it into PDF for people to actually purchase, it did something dodgy. I was really sad. And so that was, yeah, where I'm at today. You were talking about Gaviscon having alkaline metals, which neutralize the stomach acid in the stomach. Yeah, it's really cool when you can actually bring real science into the interview process. That's so cool. And actually, do you know what? When you can do that as a teacher, when you can bring that and make it into real life situations that a kid can understand, that will really help them. So I would definitely say keep going with that, keep thinking in the way that you do with how the things that you're going to be teaching relate to real life situations. Because a lot of the time, first of all, if you're teaching chemistry, you're going to be teaching up to GCSE level, at least, if not obviously A level. And so if you're teaching up to GCSE, you've got kids in there that hate science, don't believe in science, don't understand science because it's difficult and it's hard. And one of the things that I've always found is when I struggle with something and I find something difficult, what I will then do is I will then actually try and think about how can I make this more accessible? How can I bring this down to a level that is high enough for them to achieve, but also able to understand. So today, in one of my private sessions that I did tonight, we were talking about the cardiac muscle. And we were talking about the cardiac cycle and the SEN. I was talking about the interconnected cells and the fact that the cells are branched when you look at your cardiac muscle. And so I was talking about the synchronization of the cells and how the atria need to contract together. And the student who I tutor is a footballer. So I always try and bring in football analogies, try and get them to see it in a way that it makes sense in their situation. So I was talking about the fact that, like, you know, when you're young and you're part of a group and you're doing things like, let's say, football, and the coach goes, okay, everybody, hands in, ready, oh, go, whatever the name of your club is. And I said, that's a bit like the coach is like the SEN, the sinoatrial node. It is signaling to all the cells within the atria to synchronize, to contract together at the same time. And so it's always about trying to break it down to a level that's accessible, but still keeping that high expectation of content and knowledge for them. Yeah, well, that's one of the key things about cells being those building blocks of living organisms. And that is true. But what you now need to do is you need to understand that for a student who doesn't really get that, because I used to talk about it all the time, like cells are the building blocks, and if you've got the cells, you've got your bricks, then you've got your wall's your tissue, your wall then becomes a room, your room's your organ is then connected with a corridor, some stairs, etc. That's your organ systems, and then the whole house is the organism. So obviously you can start with those analogies, and what you have to do is be aware that for some kids that won't make sense to them, and they need that intricate detail. So I used to love an analogy, and I used to use so many. I still do, but it's also about knowing the students that you're working with and knowing how you can support them in a way that is getting them to understand what it is they need to know. And I remember when I first started my PGCE, I would spend hours and hours and hours planning my lessons, and I still do. Like every lesson, I spend a lot of time making sure my resources are high level, etc. But I used to give them too much. And so I needed to find a way to hone that back in and take it away. So my PowerPoints, whenever I did them, were just filled with words. It was overwhelming. Obviously, they came up slowly after a time, but it was hard because it was a lot of words. And as I got more experience, as I got through and as I came to be confident in myself as a teacher as well as an educator, what I did find is that it became less and less. And so a lot of my resources, when I was teaching the IB and when I was lead teacher in biology, a lot of my teachers would use my resources for their lessons, but then they literally look at it and be like, Christine, how do you like spend an hour on that? How do you do that? Um, and so what I realized is that what was actually happening was I talk around a lot of the stuff that I'm teaching. I question the kids a lot, like I do in my sessions, like I do in my group tuition sessions. I do a lot of questioning. And so I would question and I would tease out the information. Oh, nice. You're starting A-level biology this year. If you're starting A-level biology this year, one thing I would say to you is if it's OCRA and you want to get ahead, go and check out my YouTube channel and see how you can actually start getting ahead already with the resources that I've put on my YouTube channel, because that's going to help you to start the year as you mean to go on. Cell structure would be the first one I'd say to go with, and then go to your OCRA. There you go. You are in luck. You have found me before you've even started it. I can't believe, Anna, I mean, I can't even think when you found me. But I had students who literally were still finding me the day before their exam, which was the first exams that they were sitting. It was crazy. And I wouldn't say you definitely need to invest in a tutor. I wouldn't say you need to do that. I would say it depends where you are with your educational level, where you are with your, this is me selling myself out of a job. But what I would say to you is don't just think you must get a tutor. And also if you are going to get a tutor and you are going to invest in a tutor, you need to be careful that you're picking the right tutor for you. You're not just picking somebody who may give you wrong information. So I had a student who joined me, I want to say 6 weeks before the exams. And they were a retake student as well. They'd already sat their exam and they were retaking. And when they came to me for their first ever session. I asked them lots of questions about their exam, about looking at it, and they were like, "Oh, I'm fine. I've already gone through it with another tutor." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine, but let's just have a look at a question that they struggled with and they still didn't get after being with a tutor and going through it." And so we went through this question, and they actually had been given the wrong information. So there is no regulation on tutoring and the tutoring system. Now, anybody can be a tutor, anyone from a GCSE student who finishes school trying to get a bit of money, all the way up to professionals like myself who are teachers, trained and qualified, who also offer the services. So you can have a vast array of tutors out there. So the one thing I would say, whether you're a student, whether you're a parent, and you're looking for tutoring, to make sure that you look at what they're offering and you also look at what their experience is, because that is going to be a big deciding factor of you potentially, if you're going to pay for it, getting the grade that you want to get. What's my favorite topic in biology to teach? Them all. I love it all. I really do love it all. The more and more I learn about it, the more I want to know more. I love biology. I guess this is where my hyperfixation comes in because I'm hyperfixated on the biology. Yeah, your exams are over. But actually for you guys, it's great. You've got time out now to just enjoy the summer. But for some of you, you might be starting year 12 at year 12. You might be at the end of year 12 going into year 13. And I don't want it to be that I'm a year on from doing this with my YouTube channel. And as I said before, I'm still surprised, big look back, who can tell I've got ADHD? But the thing that I find really fascinating is so many students have still not found me or heard of me. And so therefore that results in I'm trying to get my name out there, my resources out there more and more, because the more people who find my resources, the more people who interact with them, the more I can answer and support. And I look, for me, every single student I've worked with, whether that is on one-to-ones, whether that's group, whether that's in these lives. So I have some students who have come to these lives from the beginning, and they feel like they're my students as if they're in my class with me, because my classroom now is online. It is here for you guys to support you. And I can just talk for Great Britain. So I finished the year on ADD and Chem Bio and psychology. Any tips? So okay, so you finished your year and that was what with your mocks getting an ADD. And that's are you year 12 going into year 13? The key thing I would say, you need to look back at your mocks, your assessments, and figure out what's gone wrong. Why are you not getting the next grade up? What's holding you back? Is it that you're not detailed enough in your answers? Is it that your scientific knowledge isn't up to standard? What is it that's causing you to not quite get where you need to be for the grades that you want to get? Hi, all the way from Pakistan. Hello. You might be studying this in sixth form. Amazing. Biology is awesome, but it's tough because there's so much content. Are you studying OCR or are you studying? Oh, here we go. Interesting. It's like you knew the question I was going to ask. Either OCR A or EdXL. Is it EdXL B or just EdXL? I would say out of the two, there's less content in EdXL because I've just finished tutoring a student with EdXL B. Less content, but the exam questions are harder, I'd say, but really interesting with EdXL. But it's all a muchness. They're level 3 questions. So you're doing chemistry and maths as well. Nice. Just EdXL. I'd need to look at the specification, but I think it'd be pretty similar to the EdXL-B. The only difference would be EdXL-B is more holistic in the way that they ask the questions. What are we doing today? Well, I was going to do nucleic acid nucleotide, but I'm actually just speaking to different people. I used to use a tally system, so seeing if I lost maths marks, application marks, or misreading questions. That's a really good hint there, Amna, actually, to do, because once you start to see something that you do on a regular basis, then what you can then do is you can then make sure the next time you get questions like that, you can see whether you're improving or not, or are you still falling down. So one of the things I say to my students is when they're doing their revision, and they're answering the question. So let's say you do a practice paper. So this is for somebody who asked about what would I advise as a tip. If you've done a past paper question and you haven't got the answer right, and you then use the mark scheme to mark your answer, you can write a perfect answer after that. If you write a perfect answer, what I would say is a week, a month, 2 weeks, however long you need to be in between doing that question and doing it again, come back and do that question again and see what you remembered and what you didn't remember. So remark it. Now, the things that you got wrong, again, put your two answers together. The things that you still have not got in your brain, you need to highlight that. That's not in your head yet. You're not understanding that key part. And so what I would advise you to do is then turn that into a flashcard of these are the things that I struggle with. So I had a student 2 years ago who was retaking, and they really struggled with enzymes. They really struggled with the cardiac cycle. So we would literally go at the start of lessons and go over these key words that I needed them to ensure that they were writing in their answers. And every time they gave me written answers and I was feeding back to them, I was highlighting and pulling apart and saying like enzyme substrate complex was never mentioned. Now, it got to the point that it was so repetitious that they then became that it was second nature to them. They literally were automatically throwing those keywords at me. Now, the one thing I would say to be cautious of on that is sometimes when you memorize just, for example, someone else's flashcards or someone else's notes, what you can do is you can end up memorizing those words and not understanding how they go together. It's like you having a jigsaw puzzle with all the pieces and you throw the pieces out there, and then instead of you actually being able to explain how and see that big picture at the end, you just have a whole load of pieces, and all those pieces are connected in all the wrong ways. So therefore the picture is not going together like it should do, if that makes sense. Can you smoke cigarettes in the exam hall? Absolutely no. Alex, how are you? Long time no see. Oh, really? Really? That's interesting, Amna. Have not been best keeping their papers hidden this season in Pakistan. Oh, that's not good. I'm assuming that's the international A levels then that you're talking about, Hamza. If that is the case, then that is a worry because obviously the exam paper should be under lockdown. That's one of the key things about the exam boards, especially in the UK, that they are delivered to the schools and they are in complete lockdown, that no teacher or anyone gets to see them. So yeah, you're always going to get, Alex, you're always going to get people who are trying to jump in here and say things that are wanting a reaction. It's not worth it. What's the difference between OCR A and OCR B is just about the way that the content is taught and how it's examined, but it's pretty similar. The contents are similar, it's just the way in which it's taught, whether it's holistic view or whether it is very much modular and specific areas. Um, oh, nice. Your mum teaches EdXL A biology, A-level biology. That's it. Awesome. Oh, actually, it depends if you switch sixth form. The one thing I would say is if you are trying to decide which way round that you want to do it, if you are going to switch sixth forms, it's have a look at the specifications. So download both specifications, have a look. And see which one you feel more accessible. Oh, thank you, Hamza. That's really nice. Well, that's really scary if they were leaked this year because the key thing is that you want it to be a moderated exam so you know what level you're working at. And that's not great that they're being um, on one side in bio, we are now on. Oh, okay. Plant hormones and responses. Nice. We're about to cover vaccines. Are you on time? It really depends, Alex, because different teachers teach it in different ways. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Your teacher will have a plan in their head as to what they think and how they're going to do it. I always have a plan, which is the 2-year plan of what I'm going to do. But what I tend to do is if I see that I'm going too slow, I'll then start speeding up the way I'm teaching. Or if I'm going too fast, I'll then slow it down. So it really depends how much and what you've gone through. I would say the whole course should be finished. I didn't finish it until the first week in May. And I've taught all the way from, I've taught A-level 1-year AS course from January to May. I've taught a year and a half courses and I've taught the 2-year courses. So depending on whether you want an accelerated course or not, it really just depends how fast and what the teacher focuses on. But the key thing is, Alex, remember the whole course is on my channel. Yeah, exactly. That's the best kind of teaching that you can have is that you have somebody who actually spends the time to make sure you understand it rather than just skimming over the topic area. It's so easy to skim over a topic area and just be like, it's fine. And then lo and behold, the exam paper seems to ask you questions on that. So this is one of the things, me going through the exam papers, I've looked to that and gone, oh, interesting. I haven't actually talked about that in my lessons. I haven't taught that. I need to now add that into my resources. I'm scared to choose A-level because everyone says it's difficult. It is difficult and a lot of content, but if you keep on top of it, you'll be absolutely fine. I would say starting in year 12, you need to be going over it weekly. So you need to have like a revision timetable. The other thing I would say as well is if you don't understand any of the topic area, you need to ask questions. Don't be afraid to go, hold on, sir, miss, whatever, whoever's teaching you. Like I have taught in colleges where they've called me Christine. I've taught in colleges where they're like Miss, and it just depends where you are. But don't be afraid to ask questions. Like when people jump onto my YouTube channel and they actually ask questions in the videos, what you'll notice is if I have time, I will respond because it's about you taking ownership of your own learning and also you actually engaging in the process of knowing how you learn. So I know for me, I have to work at things, I have to do things, I forget things quite easily. So I have to do it again and again and again until it's ingrained in my brain. And that's taken me a long time to figure that one out, but it's definitely helped. And so therefore I would say the more you figure out yourself and how you learn and then apply that, the more likely you are to be successful with A-level biology. It is hard, but it is actually accessible. OCR A has less application. I don't know if that's true though. Hold on, is that less application than Edexcel? I would say if you're talking about against Edexcel, especially Edexcel B, I would agree. There's less application in the questions than Edexcel B. Edexcel B is a really, really application based, but also they've got very simple. It's so hard to explain the difference. I found it really bizarre this year. This year was the first time I tutored Edexcel B, and I was literally like, I love these papers, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not too sure about these questions. They're hard. You really have to think about them, but they are so good. Rinna, what have you found? You found biology with Christine. Do you think I should start revising for retakes now? Oh, joke man. I would say wait and see. I know you have got some bad feelings about this exam, but I would say wait, enjoy your summer. If you're going to retake, right, the key thing is, right, if you do have to retake, then that's fine. I've worked with lots of students who have done retakes, and sometimes it's the best thing for some students because you could go straight from A levels to university and not be ready for it, and do your first year of university and be like, "Oh, stuff this is a load of rubbish," and out you go, and you drop out of uni. And that could be the case for you. So that happened to my brother. My brother was extremely intelligent. He got like A's because there was no A stars, but he got A's in all his A-level exams. He went to university to do chemistry. I actually think it was biochemistry. So he went to university to do biochemistry. Within the first year, he dropped out. He hated it. He didn't enjoy it. He wanted to live his life. He's now very successful, CEO of an owner of a company, which is amazing. He just took a different pathway, but he wasn't ready at the age of 18, finishing school with these great grades and going to university. For others like me, I didn't go to university until I was 20. I dropped out of school at the age of 17. I didn't go to uni straight away. I took some time out. I took some time out to mature, and I'm the one who's sitting here with a BSc honours, a PGCE from Cambridge, another postgrad from Cambridge, and a master's from Cambridge. If you'd have said that when I was 17, 18 years of age, when I had my B and 3 Cs, I would have laughed in your face. There's no way I would have got there. It's okay to retake if you need to retake, but the thing is, you don't know. You're sitting here right now not knowing. So you might spend the next 6 weeks revising something you don't need to revise. So I would say enjoy your summer. Just take the time and enjoy it, because that's what's going to help you actually later on to figure out, one, what was it that went wrong in the exam? If it's gone wrong, remember that's a big if, because you don't know. And also, you're not going to get that time back. So enjoy it. I mean, the sunshine and the heat was lovely, but too hot. Now it's a little bit cooler. It's really nice. And that's important. But don't start doing anything yet. Absolutely not. Currently, yes, I was going to do some teaching for year 12, but all the year 13s and different people keep jumping in, which is great. I love chatting. I love speaking about biology, because for me, that's where my passion lies. I want to support and help. And obviously all my lives are on my YouTube channel. You have access to them. I'd love to stay at your current school, but it's all, oh, that's not good, Asher. I would say the key thing is that sometimes you can luck out and be in the most fantastic school with the most fantastic teacher, and other times you can be in a really hard situation where, of no fault of your own, the teaching can suck. Don't get me wrong. I've had teachers that I have worked with who were trying really hard, but just couldn't break it down and couldn't help students in the way they need to be helped. And so that's why I built my channel for you. So actually, if the school has gone to a horrible place, then you still have access to high level of learning. I didn't want to stop helping students. Why would you be revising now? Well, remember, just because year 13 have finished, cohort 2025, cohort 2026 have got it all next year. Just think, if you could go back a year and be in year 12, wouldn't you want to start revising now? Yeah, well, it depends with regards to the topic area and the university. So biology is high on the list, and so is chemistry. Chemistry is more on the list than the biology, I would say, for some of the courses. Oh, I'm sorry that's the case. And that is again one of the things that happens. Sometimes schools go into trusts or academies and it changes the way that things are done. But I would definitely say that the decision that you make has to be the right one for you. So just take your time before deciding, have a look at all the different factors. Because the other thing to note as well is things change. You never know when that's going to change. So I started back at my school after having my second child, and my life was just very different, very difficult. And so I actually left the school. So I was there until the February, and then I ended up not working at the school due to lots of different reasons. And it's what basically was the catalyst for leading to me doing this job that I'm doing now. But because I wanted to be there for my girls, I wanted to be there. And so I'd come back and everyone was excited that I was back at the school that I was working at. And they were like, yes, great. Christine's back. She's going to teach us biology. And then I ended up having to leave. And these things happen. You can't guarantee it, whatever you get. And it's a funny one. My daughters are going through, they meet their new teachers tomorrow because they're about to move up the year. And they are very excited, but also very nervous. And staffing always changes within skills. And unfortunately, although you have really good teachers, sometimes the location or the aesthetics is not right. And that's why you've got to take everything into consideration. Um, it's so hard. It's so hard when you're in skills that are not where you want to be. Which country am I from? So I'm actually, well, I was born in England, but my parents are from Scotland, and I spent from the age of 6 till I was, why should I come down here? 25, 26? Yeah, in Scotland. And then I came down to Cambridge in 2016. No, I didn't. 2006, 2016, 2006. I came to Cambridge and I never left. And so I've been here ever since. I should narrate audiobooks. Absolutely not. I am awful at reading. I jumble my letters the wrong way around and I get very tongue-tied. So whenever I'm doing my videos or doing my things that are on these sessions, I literally am making mistakes left, right, and center. But the difference is I'm okay with that because I know one, when I hear myself, I will correct myself when it comes to the science. Or I'll get my students to correct me. But two, I'm now comfortable in the fact that I know that this is just who I am. And yeah, it's a funny one because sometimes I'll be doing a video, I'll be trying to do a video. And then what I'll do is I'll be like, because I'm like, I did it wrong. I made a mistake. It's so frustrating. And sometimes you just got to be silly. You got to be okay with being silly. You've got to be okay with just doing things a very different way. But yeah, absolutely not. Although I do love audiobooks. It's a funny one because I get really tired reading. My eyes, when I'm reading something, it's like my eyes are going to go to a different place. They just don't want to read, and I forget what I've been reading. So I will read a chapter, or not even a chapter, I'll read a page and I'm halfway down the page and I've forgotten what's above what I've been reading. But when I'm listening to an audiobook, I find it really nice that I can listen, I can really engage and I can get into the audiobooks. So I listen to audiobooks before I go to sleep every night because it helps my brain to go down. Yeah, I am an official Cambridge teacher. Yes, I am. So I graduated from Cambridge in 2007, my first PGCE. And then, yeah, I kept going back. I did a lot of different things. And yeah, 2014 was when I graduated from my master's. But that one was a proper graduation because I got to actually go to Senate House and actually do the whole holding on. I had to hold the pinky of the proctor. It was really weird. There was different people when you do different degrees, it's whether you're on your own, you're an undergrad, or as a master's, you like five you different people had different fingers. It was the weirdest thing ever. But yeah, that's a hold on, where's my picture? I've got a picture of it somewhere from my graduation. Somewhere. Well, this was actually, it's a funny one. I have been looking back, doing a bit of nostalgia. That was me in my university library at Cambridge. That was me in 2007. How different I look now. Um, that was a long time ago. Look how short my hair is. I go through these stages where I get bored. Um, Thanks, Hamza. You make me feel old. You were born in 2007. And that's when I went to Cambridge University for my postgrad. I'm a little bit older than you are. But yeah. Oh, it's a funny one. It's a funny one. The different things that we go through. Let me see, where's the well, there we go. Let me see. This is my graduation for my master's at Cambridge. So it's so weird, the things that you've got to do. So I had to, that was Elaine was actually the PGC chemistry teacher. I don't know if you're still on here, but she was the chemistry teacher at Cambridge University when I was doing my PGCE. But I didn't really have much to do with her because I was doing my biology degree. Um, Although it was a science degree, so I obviously had to do all three sciences. But I was doing it mainly with my lecturer who was Winterbottom, Mark Winterbottom. He was pretty awesome. Oh my gosh, go away, you guys. No, I'm joking. It's a funny one because I forget like that I'm that old. I'm that old. I do forget that I am the age that I am sometimes because I just yeah, I forget. When I'm teaching it, I don't feel like I am the age that I am, but when I get up out the seat or I try and move around, I definitely feel the age that I am. But no, it's a funny one because when you're a teacher, teaching is about giving the knowledge that you have in front of you to others. Oh, that's nice. It's a funny one because the way that we live our lives and the way that we do the things that we do, there are some people that come into our lives that just have a way of showing you a different pathway. And that's the thing that I've loved. When I've gone to university, when I've gone to schools and worked in places, there's always been different people that I have worked with and seen and been guided by that have made me into who I am today. But I'm also still me. And I think that's the thing. I have always been a little bit quirky, a little bit different, a little bit of Christine. And so yeah, that's what I do. I do what works for me and hope that if it works for me, that it'll work for someone else. And so that's why I built what I built. So whether that is my YouTube channel, whether that is my tuitions, whether that is my AIQ chat, whatever it is that people need, I want to help. And the thing is, it's you guys are at the starting point of your lives. I don't know if I'd want to go back there. I mean, a lot has happened in that time. But I get to watch my girls go through it now. I mean, I have a 5 and a 6 year old, and I watch what they are learning, what they are developing, and what they are working on, and I get inspired by them. My eldest is just amazing with her arts and crafts and her the stuff that she does. I just can't understand where that creativity comes from, but it is awesome. And my youngest is just, she's just so full of life. And I can't wait to see what happens with them. And this is, again, another reason why I built the channel that I built, because I want to know that when they get to the point of doing A levels, if they choose biology as the A level they want to do, I want it to be that they have high quality learning and teaching that they can still succeed in whatever they choose to do. This is the thing. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of ingrained in us. If you said she's a teacher, right, for EdXL, which will really help because she'll be able to help you loads. She'll know what that specification is. Um, yeah, kids have their. I don't know. It's an interesting one because my eldest is very much like me. My youngest is a kind of more like her dad, but they're both a mix of both of us. But you can see there's certain traits that my eldest does, which is more me, and my youngest is very much more like the dad. Um, but I'm happy about that because their genetics are a mix of the two of us. I love that, doing actual Punnett squares. at the age of 9. I mean, that in itself, if you're already being exposed at that age, like my girls all the time, they'll go out and they'll look at things. And what was it we were talking about today? Oh, there was something that they said to me, and I explained, I went into a bit more detail, and they were like, "Ah, is this why?" And they then took it on a whole nother avenue, and I was like, "Wow, look at you go!" Nice, that's really cute. That is really cute. The picture looks like I'm becoming a queen. It's a funny one because with this picture, it was very specific in what you had to actually wear for the graduation. So we had to stand for ages outside, and it was a really hot day. And you can actually see, if I zoom in, hold on, let me zoom in, you can actually see how red and rosy my cheeks are. And Elaine's actually trying to sort the back of my gown out because it's caught on my shoe. And you have to have like a shirt which has a crisp collar, and you had to have a skirt that was a specific length, and you had to wear the skirt had to be the right color, and things like that. So it was very much a strict procedure, but it was lovely. It was really nice. And it's something that I'll never forget. And the fact that I had that opportunity. But I do remember my uncle once saying to me, Christine, when are you going to buy a house? When are you going to get a master's? When are you going to do this, this, and this? And I sat there at the evening dinner and I was like, I'm not going to do that. I will not get a master's because I don't know how to write 10,000 word thesis. There's no way I know 10,000 words. I can talk it, but actually writing it, very different because I'm very abrupt with my writing. I'm very straight to the point, and so therefore I was like, I don't know how to do the ifs, the buts, the ands, and but I chose topic areas that I was so interested in and so passionate about. Um, oh, I'm in fact, I do actually teach AQA. I tutor AQA students. It's not that I don't and can't teach it. It's just that there's a lot of good resources out there already for AQA students. And because of that, I realized when I went to the school that I went to, what would be 3 years now, when I went there, there was no resources for OCRA. And so because there was no resources for OCRA, that's why I built my resources for OCRA. But it's not that I can't teach any of the examples. I can teach them all. It's just that I have focused myself down for OCRA, because I know there's lots of good resources out there. Miss Eastrick, Laura does biology. Um, Oh, Olivia. Olivia does biology is really good. Who else? There's a few more that come up. BioRach, really good. Like there's lots of really good resources already out there for AQA. And so I feel like that's kind of covered. But yeah, I do it. There is a 75% overlap as well. I know. Do you know what? EdXL is an interesting one because I only started doing EdXL this year, and very few students actually do EdXL. I don't think it is more than OCR. Hold on, let me have a look. Um, Let me see. Let me see. Hmm. Let me see. Let me have a look at this spreadsheet. There's definitely a gap in the market. There's always a gap in different places, but also different students learn in different ways. And because different students learn in different ways, it's always good that there's different varieties out there. I'm like, why are you not opening? Let me have a look. Let me see. Oh, nice. Which exam board are they doing with OCR or EdXL or AQA? Um, AS A-level entries. Here we go. Right. Let's have a look. Oh, hold on. That's not what I wanted. No, I want subject areas. I went to the wrong one. Hold on. Oh, nice. AQA. Um, I cover OCRA with regards to my revision resources that are on here. You should get them to check out Miss Eastruck's stuff. She does really good AQA resources. But I do actually tutor all the resources. I just don't do my live sessions are aimed at OCRA to help. Um, just see if I can find the answer to this question. Oh yeah, biology with Olivia is good as well. Mm. Okay, so to answer the question, I've just found the data. Hold on. So in 2024, to answer the question that was there, according to this, 2023 to 2024, 36,880 entries in AQA. OCR was 20,115. Pearson, so EdXL, was 5,855. So there's very few students who sit it. And then WJC was 2,075. So therefore, that's why there's not as much resources out there. Hamza, to answer your question, universities tend to expect you to have a specific qualification. So you'll have, they'll have entry requirements, but there'll be different ones depending on if you're an international student or if you are a UK-based student. So you'd have to go to universities. But you can look at the UCAS website if you're looking at the UK ones. But if you're looking at other ones, then it really just depends on what their criteria is. Why are you here? You finished your A-level because you wanted to come and say hi? I don't know. Yeah, you definitely want to start A-levels as you mean to go on. Yeah, 5,000, that's it. Students did very well with a Oh, okay, so you're wanting, I see what you're saying. So you want your son to study with the use of an AI versus traditional. Well, it really depends. I mean, the key thing is students using AI is amazing because AI is there. We should utilize it. We should be using it. But what I would say you have to be careful of is that you don't just accept that what they're telling you is the truth or what the information is that's been given is the truth. So I have a revision platform, aiqchat.com. So me and my partner built it. It does have an AI tutor, and that AI tutor is basically built around being Christine in a box. So it's a way in which students can ask it questions and it will ask you questions as if you're having this one-on-one chat with me, but through learning biology using the way I teach. So it's definitely possible. It's definitely a way that some students will progress and do exceptionally well. It depends on the student. It really is down to the resources that you've got and also the effort and the work ethic of the student involved. So I definitely think there are pros and cons from both sides. It just depends how your student or how your son is going to actually engage with that. Um, It is a very different environment. I think it's an interesting one because it comes down to what I would say. The study that was done, which is really interesting, Asher, you are very much a scientist at heart, I would say, in the fact that you were questioning this, like what was the study size? How long did they have access to it? How were they being monitored? What were the control variables would be my question. Any study that you have, it's always important that you look at things like that. What was the standard deviation from the results that they gave? Um, so it's about ensuring that you don't just take things as being gospel, that that's it. I've read a study, the study said this, so that's amazing. That means it's true. It just depends on who they studied at the time that they studied it, what they had available to them. We've had so many advancements that AI is an amazing tool to be used and utilized as long as we use it in the right way. And that's the key thing, is that it makes it accessible, because obviously depending on when you are engaging your brain. So I know for me, first thing in the morning, I am not engaging my brain at all. It takes me, I'm a slow starter, but once I get in and once I get fully focused, that's me. I can be hyper fixated on something. Whereas my partner, he can come out in the morning and he will start working and he's proper fixated within a second. And then he'll come away, he'll have a bit of a break, and then he'll come back again. And so different people learn things in different ways. So having AI available all throughout the day is a positive, because actually you're right, your teachers aren't available 24/7. Your teachers have to go and have their own lives. Like I do these lives on a Wednesday because that's when I do my tuition. So it means I'm in the office anyway. Whereas if I'm doing the girls' evening, if I'm putting them to bed or I'm watching a movie or I'm just having my own downtime, I'm not available. And that's where the AI side of things becomes a real positive, because you will have access to AI at any point throughout the day. It's a funny one. And that's the interesting part, because actually asking the AI the different questions that you have, and that's the important part. Also, it takes away the one thing that annoys me with students in my lessons, and I say that as it annoys me, it doesn't actually annoy me, but it's one of those things that I wish that they would just do more. I think that's what I want to say, is ask questions. And a lot of students, because of the way our education system is, that you are in a class that's full of people who are your peers, and you are in a vulnerable stage of where you are still figuring out who you are as a person. And for some students, they don't feel confident to ask a question because they don't want to seem silly in front of all these other people who seem to get it. And one of the things that I tend to find is the minute you have one person ask the question, everyone else kind of goes, oh, I didn't get it either. Thankfully, they like had the confidence to ask the question. Or on the other hand, you get these students who are like, oh, I know the answer, I know the answer, and they start telling you what they believe and what they know. And actually, they've got a lot of misconceptions, but because they can say it in such a confident manner, or they can articulate themselves a lot better than maybe even their teacher can, people believe that they know more, and they're therefore struggling to trust their own knowledge and question it. So the best thing you can do is read, question, ask if you're unsure until you get it. There are so many variables you need to control for. I mean, any kind of study like that, you are literally doing it as a case study, because it's a case by case basis. It's about what did that person do? What did they get from it? What, yes, there will be some commonalities throughout, but those commonalities may just be correlations, but not a causation of it. So it is so many things you have to take into consideration. But I don't think you should discredit the use of AI and the different ways. It's a way of accessing learning that you maybe would never have had an opportunity to experience before. I mean, that's the key thing about this, is that now it's opening up the playing field, that people that don't have a teacher who teaches a subject area close by them can now learn things. How hard is A-level? I'm taking it for A-level. I've heard there's too much. Which exam board are you doing? It is huge. It is huge. There's a lot to learn, but if you start as you mean to go on, it is accessible. Oh, there you go. You're sorted. Check out my channel, Biology with Christine. You've got the whole course already there for you, and in really accessible videos for you. Hi, Grace. How are you doing? I'm kind of jumping between the two. I'm on here, but also because people are chatting here, but more people are chatting on my TikTok, so I'm just kind of jumping between the two. Are you enjoying the summer holiday? It's hard about environmental impacts because obviously there's lots of different things that we do which are impacting the environment, but at the same time, through using AI, we can then find solutions faster. So it's again pros and cons. There's always going to be pros and cons on both sides. It's about making sure that we are weighing up the pros and cons and the ethical side of the things that we do. Different people will do different things. Different people will have different opinions, different understandings, different research procedures. And that's the thing. If you think about Darwin, I'm going to go to Darwin, but if you think about when Darwin first started talking about what he believed, there were so many people against him because they had different beliefs. There's always going to be arguments on all sides of the scientific and technology side of things. It's about you becoming informed and you coming up with an opinion that you believe is the right one for you. Yeah, that's the key thing. Finding things to do, finding hobbies. I do think that the predictions are that it's going to be the same. I feel like it's going to be the same as it was last year, grade boundaries wise. I do feel like paper 3 was a nice paper. There was a couple of questions. There's a couple where I'm like, I'm not sure the answer on those two. But I did actually really like that paper. I sat this morning. What time did I do it? From 9:30 till I'd probably say about 10 past 10. I sat and did it and went through it. And I did think I was like, oh, this is a nice paper. It was very accessible. I also felt really good because a lot of my predictions came up. I don't think it's that they're getting more accessible. I think it's more that you potentially, if you've done lots of practice papers, are actually seeing that there's only certain things and certain ways they can ask the question. And so therefore, if you've got your foundations in place, if you know the building blocks, you can then actually apply it to the questions and gain the marking points. There's definitely still a lot of challenge there. And so therefore, I don't feel like it's any worse than the year before. I feel like it's about on par where it should be. I keep thinking to myself, talking about going back to Grace, what you said about things to keep yourself busy. I'm like, what can my next hobby be? Do I want to try and make clothes? My daughter's like a little fashionista. She likes to get her Barbie dolls, get Play-Doh, or get like balloons. It's really weird the things she does, but it's amazing what she does. She finds these like weird materials and she makes their outfits and she decides what they're going to do. And it again, I say it inspires me because I'm like, oh, what could I do? What can I gain from that? Where can I go with this? How would I make my own clothes? Hi, Lippers. Yeah, they always do. Jokeman, that your tests and your mocks, etc., always feel much harder than the real exam. And that's because one, you know that there are tests in a mock. Two, because you don't have the same adrenaline rush that you have when you are sitting the exam. Also, you've got the fact that you only know parts of the content, you don't have a full view. Whereas when you're being assessed at the end of the year, you're being assessed on the whole course and you've learned the whole course. Whereas all your mocks assessments in the lesson are always kind of in that point of you've got some knowledge, but not. And if you're anything like me or your teacher's anything like me, I would set paper questions. So every 2 weeks, my students had to sit exam 45-minute exam question every 2 weeks, and I would be marking it every 2 weeks. And I'd always put questions in there that I'd forgot to, like I'd done it too quickly and I'd forgot that it was a question that they needed for the here, or there's a question that they can't answer because it has stuff that they haven't learned yet. And it's not intentional, it was just something that I did. But it's one of those things that when you're doing practice tests, you're doing 100 questions, obviously not 100, but 100 questions on one topic area. Whereas when you're in the actual exam, they can't ask you 100 questions on that one topic area. They have to cover the whole course. And because they have to cover the whole course, they can ask you 1 or 2 questions on each of the topics. And so therefore, again, that's why it feels like it's more challenging when you do the mocks, etc. But when you do the actual exams, it feels easier. Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing when you are, so I set my student from tonight, their homework this week was that they have to do these questions on the cardiac cycle. And so it's very specific and therefore will identify any gaps in their knowledge. And that's the whole point in those tests. That's the whole point in those questions. And us using them is to guide you in what you need to learn and what you don't understand. Oh, I'm pleased that they helped. That's basically how I look at biology. I look at biology as being the bigger picture. Every which way I can, I see biology. The world is like I walk around, it's ridiculous. I have to stop myself sometimes, but I walk around, I'm like, oh, I could do a video on that plant is green and that other part of it is yellow. Oh, look, that's different accessory pigments compared to the chlorophyll. Um, my daughter saw like a caterpillar today and they're like, Mummy, there's a caterpillar on the floor. What kind is it? And I was like, I don't know. But they just assume that I do know this. But then I'm like, oh, let's just take a picture and maybe I can. Can I turn it into a question? So then I'm like thinking, ooh, well, the caterpillar had yellow and black stripes. What's causing the yellow stripes? Well, the yellow stripes, obviously, that's where there's a pigment being there. So that's the way my brain works whenever I'm walking around. Ah. Oh, that's me. Absolutely. 100%. I have to verbalize everything. It's why I do these sessions. And I'm literally like, how am I still going 78 minutes later and I'm still talking? But it's because of people like you guys who jump on here and ask questions. And that's what I love. Um, Oh, Grace, nice. You want to learn knitting and relearn your GCSE French. I actually, do you know, I learned German as a student, and I still remember my GCSE speaking exam, although I can change some of it. But we are going to the south of France for a holiday in August, and I'm literally thinking, I have not a clue about all the things that you need to know for going to France. So I'm going to have to relearn it. And it's funny because um, my daughters are learning it too, and they're like, bonjour. Bonjour. And my best friend is half French. And so when she got married in France and I went across there, they were all speaking French. And I was like, I have no idea what's going on. So I had this big idea that I was going to learn French before this wedding. And this wedding was a long time ago, and I still haven't learned it yet. So I have these great plans and ideas that I'm going to learn French, but it never seems to come to fruition for some reason. I get distracted. But I am noticing the time. It is almost 10 o'clock, which means my phone is going to go to dark mode in a minute. Guys, thank you so much for joining me again tonight. It's been lovely chatting with you all, and I will come back again on Wednesday next week. I will try and do some more videos. I'm going to finish and hopefully sort out this workbook so I can put that on my website as well for people because I've spent so much time. I'm so disappointed it's not transferring across in the right way, but hopefully it will. And I hope you all have a good evening and great week. Bye, guys.